Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 19 of the Sports Dudes podcast. I am your host, Jonathan Gurley, alongside my co host and brother, Nick Mackey. And today we have a football episode, but not NFL football. We're going to be talking some college football. The college football playoff was announced yesterday. Very controversial.
Very controversial.
History and some of the wrong reasons and right reasons was made yesterday, and the college football transfer portal opened up today. We've got some crazy names in there. Some schools are losing some major talent, and some schools are looking to adding. Basically, the playoff and free agency for college football are happening right now, and it's an exciting time
It is.
right now in college football. So diving right in to the college football playoff. Now, if you've been under a rock for the past 24 hours and you don't know, the college football playoff top four was announced who's playing for the national championship. So you've got number one ranked Michigan Wolverines, 13-0, won the Big Ten. Everybody expected it, but I'm in the majority that doesn't think they should be there. I think there should have been some reparations for the Connor Stallions situation and the cheating and how they did it. I think it's one of the worst examples of cheating in modern sports history. I think it's worse than the sign stealing scandals in baseball. I think it's 10 times worse than what the Astros did.
Why do you believe that?
Because of the lengths they went to. They were having Connor Stallion. They were having people pay for tickets to go watch and scout the other team's games. Now, there's nothing wrong with looking at tape and everything, but what the lengths they were going to made it worse. They were going to unbelievable lengths to get an edge on their opponents. So,
Right.
the number two team in the country is the 13-0 Pac-12 champion Washington Huskies. They took down Bo
The
Nix
last
and
the last Pac-12
la-
champion.
last Pac-12 champion. Um, they took down Bo Nix and his completion percentage in the Pac-12 championship game to win the Pac-12. Um, I I'm a Texas fan. Hook 'em. You made the playoff. We'll get to that in a second. But I will not let go of the committee for 3 or 4 weeks, ranking Alabama and Texas behind Oregon due to Bo Nix's completion percentage. That was just an awful reasoning when you look at strength of schedule, strength of record, opponents, everything. It was awful. It was mind boggling. But the Washington Huskies, 13-0, win their conference, get into the college football playoff. Then, third ranked team in the country, the Texas Longhorns. The Longhorns make their first ever college football playoff appearance. In the last year, the four-team format. First time they've ever made the college football playoff. Um, they won the Big 12 conference for the first time since 2009. They in their last year in the Big 12, they won it the first year of the Big 12. Then they won it the last year they were in the Big 12. Horns went 12-1 this year. Their one loss coming at the Red River Showdown to the University of Oklahoma in a heartbreaking loss, where the Longhorns flat out just played arguably one of their worst games of the year, um, in a very close loss that should have been a win. But you got to give the University of Oklahoma their flowers. They bounced back, and Brett Venables, turned around that team very fast, getting them ready to go to the SEC. Now, they dominated Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship game. They looked like one of the best four teams in the country. They went in and beat the best team in the SEC, which we can say because Bama took down Georgia in the SEC championship. They went in on the road early in September, and I mentioned early in September because that's going to be the follow-up to my point. They went in on the road in Tuscaloosa in front of 100,000 people and beat Bama by 10 on the road. Made Nick Saban bench Jalen Milroe. If Milroe doesn't get benched and has a good game that following against UCF or USF when he had to come in, for Tyler Bosher, I think his name was. If Milroe doesn't have to do that, he's a Heisman finalist. We were told this is the worst Saban team ever. It was the worst loss in the Saban era at Alabama. We were told all this by Texas, and Texas went in and caused that. The two of Alabama's worst games the past 2 years have come against Texas. So Texas is ultimately deserving of this number 3 spot in the country.
Mhm. I was a little worried that there was a chance that it was gonna 3 and 4 was gonna be Alabama, Georgia.
I was very concerned at the fact that they were just going to leave Texas out. But and that would have pissed people off even more because Alabama in that case had no right making it over Texas because of the fact that it was a head-to-head 10-point victory in which Texas flat out dominated it. I don't think Texas was losing once in that game. If so, it was only for one drive. After Jalen Milroe threw that long touchdown, Texas immediately fired back with the A.D. Mitchell touchdown. So, and they got it right putting Texas in. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Texas fan, but Texas played like the fourth best team in the country. And compared to the FSU situation, we didn't lose our quarterback for the year, but we had to start a true freshman in the Houston game. He had to come in the Houston game, had to start him against BYU, and we had to start him against a ranked K-State team that was a fairly good team that won the Big 12 the year before. So, yeah, it's not a good comparison, but you can at least bring it up. The comparison of to the Quinn Ewers injury to the Jordan Travis injury, it almost feels wrong bringing it up in the same conversation, but you can still mention it.
Yeah.
So then the number 4 spot, this was the controversial one. It came down to number 5 Alabama, who beat the SEC, who won the SEC title by beating the number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs, who were on a 29-game winning streak and won back-to-back national championships. But it's a different Georgia team. We saw that mainly at the quarterback position with Carson Beck. Played solid, but nowhere near the level of Stetson Bennett. And then you had the 13-0 Florida State Seminoles won the ACC championship game against a Louisville team that I still don't know how they won 10 games. That was a bad game. But you had Jordan Travis unfortunately break his leg 3 weeks ago, and Tate Rodmeyer came in, went in. You know, I gotta give Florida Florida State their credit. They were 2-0 versus the SEC this year. One of those was a top 5 win against LSU, and one of the to start the season by 20 points, mind you. And that almost ruined the chances of the Heisman favorite, in my opinion, and Jalen Daniels winning the Heisman this year because of how rough of a game that was all around for LSU and Brian Kelly. But Tate Rodmeyer went in the Swamp, a hard place to play. No matter how bad Florida's been this year, the Swamp at night, prime time, is still such a hard place to play in. And Tate Rodmeyer went in and dominated. It wasn't a decisive victory, but did everything he could to get FSU that win. And then the dirty hit late in the game that took him out with a concussion. Then you had the third-string quarterback have to play. I understand why the committee left FSU out. I get the frustration.
It's not like Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I think still could have gotten in if Malik and Quinn were hurt because the third string quarterback for Texas is
it's Arch Manning.
But I don't think a lot of people have that deep of a thing, and they got points taken off because not points taken off, but like.
Well, the thing is we have seen this before. We saw this with, I believe, the Ohio State Buckeyes in was it Ohio State in 2015? No, was it 14? 1 second, I'm trying to find something to. Yes. So we saw this. We saw this in 2014 with Ohio State. So you saw JT Barrett, starting quarterback of the Ohio State Buckeyes that year, he was amazing. 34 touchdowns, 10 interceptions on the year, threw for 2,800 yards in 12 games that year. Get hurt late in the year, suffer a season-ending injury, and they turned to third-string quarterback Cardell Jones. And Cardell Jones went on to dominate Wisconsin 52-0 in the Big Ten championship game. Beat number 1 ranked Alabama in 42-35 in the Sugar Bowl, and beat number 3 Oregon in the college football national championship. So we've seen this before where a third-string quarterback came in and replaced a starting quarterback, and won a national title with Cardell Jones. But the thing was, that Ohio State team was so good. And not to knock FSU, but that Iowa State team or that Ohio State team, I mean, let me just read you the top players on this team. They had prime Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott that in 15 games rushed for 1,800 yards, 18 touchdowns. You had J.T. Barrett on that team. Curtis Samuel was you had this is you had a sophomore Michael Thomas. You had
Yeah, but it's not like you. People keep making the same, like Ohio State got in with the third string, and why can't FSU? Like I've heard that argument.
it's a fair argument.
I guess, but there's a big difference. If Cardell Jones or whatever his name is,
Cardell
Jones had gone out there and thrown for 55 yards, completed 38% of his passes, got sacked 4 times, then they would not have made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what it comes down to. Was if they go out and beat Louisville by 20, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, you beat them by 10, and midway through the second quarter, you got 9 total yards of offense. Okay, so I get it. I'm sorry that y'all feel. I'm sorry FSU feels like they got snubbed.
They did. That's the thing, though, is they did.
You may have got snubbed, but had Louisville even been a little competent at playing Saturday night, you would have got your rear end handed to you on national TV. Okay. I get it. Your running back ran for 118 yards, but your quarterback still completed 38% of his passes.
FSU has one of the better defenses in the country. It's part of the reason why they've been so good this year. Their defense has been stellar, and with the argument of getting embarrassed on national television, we don't really know if that's the case. But what it ultimately comes down to is we've never seen an undefeated Power 5 conference winner get left out of the college football playoff. But this is unprecedented circumstances. This is why we're getting a 12-team playoff next year. Don't know why they couldn't have done it this year. But this is an unprecedented situation. But do I think it sucks for FSU? Yes. But do I think they got the 4 teams in the playoff right? Yes, I do. Absolutely 100% I do. I think they got the 4 best teams in the country. I'm sorry, Georgia, they're maybe the 5th best team in the country. Because what you got to base it on, you got to take the Washington, who dominated everybody this year. You got to take Michigan, who dominated a bad Pac-10 and cheated Big Ten, and cheated this year. And then you have to take a Texas team that beat the SEC champions by 10 on the road, and they have to take the SEC champion Alabama Crimson Tide, who beat the Georgia Bulldogs, who are on a 29-game winning streak. You have to. Those are the 4 best teams. It could be, FSU could be one of the best 4 teams. Georgia could be one of the best 4 teams. But for the circumstances we have in front of us, they got the best 4 teams right.
They did get the best 4 teams right. Mm-hmm. Because after watching FSU play, I don't even think they deserve a 5. The 5th best.
Okay. No. You cannot put a Georgia team that lost their conference championship and an Ohio State team that didn't even play for a conference championship ahead of the Florida State Seminoles. No. I draw the line there, Buckaroo.
Deacon Hill, the quarterback for Iowa, threw for 56% of his passes and 120 yards.
Was he a third?
That's almost more offense than FSU had.
Was he a third-string quarterback the entire season? Did he sit behind a Heisman candidate at the time in Jordan Travis? Did he sit behind Tate Rottenmeier? No, he was a starting quarterback on one of the worst offenses in FBS history. Getting a little feisty on a Monday night here. I like this. This is intense and fun.
So what you're telling me, what you're saying to me,
Yes.
is that OSU could not, Oklahoma State University, had they played FSU, they would have lost as well.
Well, basing on how they played, and FSU's defense is up there with Texas, they likely stop Ollie Gordon. They likely stop Alan Bowman, who still I stand by as one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life. I think they could beat Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State was not that good of a team. They lost to South Alabama at home. They caught Oklahoma in a rough week, and they caught whoever else they beat. Oklahoma State was not that good of a team.
And so
And keep in mind, OSU does not get that if they don't change the Big 12 tiebreaker rules midway through the season. Keep in mind, the Big 12 did that.
Okay. So what you're saying is you would put the showing that FSU had over the showing.
I lost you there, right? As you said, you
would put the showing that FSU put on the field Saturday. You would put that in over Oregon.
But 100%, because it's not about what we saw on Saturday. It's about what we've seen the past 13 weeks. And what we've seen the past 13 weeks, FSU being one of the top teams in the country.
Okay.
Oregon's schedule, or you look at Oregon's schedule, and besides Washington, find me a good team they played. Literally, all the committee could say for rationalizing putting Oregon over Texas and Bama was Bo Nix's completion percentage.
Oregon State was ranked 16 when they beat them.
But
Utah was ranked 13th when they beat them. Colorado was beat.
Utah did not have their starting quarterback. Cam Rising didn't play this year.
Yes, and they were still ranked 13.
Because you play a cupcake schedule in the Pac-12.
They played. Utah started the year playing Florida, Baylor, Weber State, UCLA. They lost to Oregon State. They beat Cal. They beat USC. They lost to Oregon. Beat Arizona State. Lost to Washington. Lost to Arizona. And then beat Colorado.
I'm not impressed by that.
Yeah, it kind of looks like they lost to every ranked teams of USC. And UCLA.
Trevor Lawrence is hurt.
Darn.
Yeah. He tried to get up. Apparently, he tried to get up and fell back down, and the entire stadium gasped. He's headed to the locker room with help. He threw his helmet. He's in serious pain. Yeah, it's no good. But yeah, no.
So
keep him going. Keep him going. Keep him going.
So I'll take your 13-0 FSU and give you Liberty 13-0. They're 13-0.
Name me one per team a good team Liberty beat on their schedule.
Bye week.
Yeah, see? I don't know how they got a New Year's Six Bowl. I don't care that they went undefeated.
Okay, well, I stand corrected with Liberty.
In what?
Maybe they didn't play anybody good.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. Okay. So we'll find out. We'll find out if
if Jordan Travis is healthy, and you give Florida State that 4th seed, they dog walk Michigan.
All right, I will say we'll put a pin in it until they play Georgia in the bowl game.
But they're not going to
Okay.
have Jordan Travis. They're going to be at a disadvantage.
Yeah, and so what your argument is that you should go ahead and put FSU in for Tate Rodemeyer. And had there not been a single upset this weekend, the 1st seed would have been Georgia, 4th seed would have been FSU. So they would have played each other anyways in the playoffs. So let's see who wins. If they keep it close with Georgia and Georgia wins by a little bit, okay, I'll give it to you. They deserve to be in the playoffs.
But my counter to that is if a 4th seed FSU team is playing a number 1 ranked Georgia team, Georgia's going to be FSU is going to be motivated to take down Georgia. Florida State's going to come out looking defeated because they were just robbed of a chance of a lifetime.
And you think Georgia isn't?
Georgia's been here 2 years in a row.
Georgia could have gotten a three-peat.
They should have known they were going to lose when they found out they were going to face Saban. They'd never beaten Saban in the conference championship. That was kind of funny. We both went for sips of water at the same time because we were.
So you're saying had they still been the 1 and 4 seed, this is not the same. The bowl game that we're going to get is not the same bowl game we would have gotten in the playoffs?
Yes.
So what you're saying is when Georgia dog walks FSU up and down the field all game long, you're going to make the excuse that it's because FSU is defeated.
I'm not making an excuse. I was just countering to your argument. There's a reason Michigan was pissed to find out that Bama was 4 because they wanted FSU because they wanted a FSU quarterback that was down a man.
They wanted a cupcake, and that's what FSU is.
No, they're a college football program.
Mm-hmm. A legitimate college football program does not get celebrated when you have to play them.
What? No, it's because of the Jordan Travis injury. Now, you also got to blame the committee because the committee literally has it written in the rules to penalize teams for injuries and coaches leaving, which is sometimes out of the team's control. Injuries, for sure, out of the team's control. All right. Is that all we got for the playoff committee and everything?
Yeah, I think we should move on before
one of us wakes up somebody. So next we got the transfer portal officially opened up today. Some quarterbacks have entered the portal. I'm going to open up this with ranking who I believe are the top 10 quarterbacks in this transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
So give me a second. All right. So first I have I'm okay. I have Washington State's Cam Ward. Ward, very good quarterback. I think in the right system. Are you eating dinner?
I'm smelling a candle.
Oh, sorry. All right. So yeah, number one. I think the number one quarterback in the transfer portal is Cam Ward of Washington State. I think Cam Ward's a very athletic and talented quarterback. I think you get him in the right system, he could easily be a Heisman favorite. I like Cam Ward, and look for one of these teams like a Oregon, an FSU, a Washington. One of these schools, Michigan, a school that's going to be looking for a quarterback next year to get heavily in on it. The second best quarterback, I believe, in this upcoming transfer portal is a guy who is hitting the portal again, Dillon Gabriel, out of Oklahoma. He's an NIL value right now, according to On3, of $1.2 million, which Matt Rule came out publicly a couple days ago and said that's what it's going to cost to get a good quarterback in the portal. And Dillon Gabriel, He's done everything. You cannot look at more of a better stat line in college than what Dylan Gabriel's had. Over 120 touchdowns. He's had multiple 30 touchdown seasons, 3,000 yards. He's just been an absolute offensive monster. And I think he's gonna look. I don't think there's a lot of speculation. Maybe he's gonna follow Jeff Lebby to Mississippi State. I think he's just gonna go to a competitive team. I think he's looking to get a ring or win something, compete for a national title immediately, because he's got nothing else to do really. He's done everything stat wise.
You said he's transferring again?
I have Duke's Riley Leonard. He suffered. Huh?
John?
Yeah?
Did you hear me?
What? I didn't hear.
He's transferring again? That's what you said?
Yeah.
Where was he before?
UCF.
Oh, UCF.
Where in 3 years he had like 70 touchdowns. So, the third quarterback I have.
Is this a grad transfer?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's he's a redshirt senior, grad transfer, COVID year. He's gotten everything.
So I feel like the COVID year people have almost cycled through.
Yeah.
Like the people that lost their eligibility year for COVID, I feel like have almost made it. I know that's off topic, but I didn't know that there was that many. I mean, other than that tight end from like
Oregon or something like that. Yeah.
Who's been there longer than Jesus.
Yeah. But no, third, I've got Duke's QB Riley Leonard. He's missed some time with injury this year. He's a fairly good quarterback. He's fairly good. He's got fairly good legs. He can run well. I think a team would be very happy to have him. I'm sure he can come in and immediately learn the team system. At number 4, I have a UCLA freshman, Dante Moore. Struggled as a freshman this year, but he is a 5-star, so that's obviously going to get appeal from teams. I think he's going to be heavily recruited. I think a team that could be looking not for somebody who's going to come in and immediately win, but somebody that they're going to put in their system is going to succeed, that they know they can develop Dante Moore in. I like that. Number 5, Coastal Carolina's Grayson McCall. All you got to know about Grayson McCall is just look at his stats at Coastal Carolina. He has built himself to be one of the better quarterbacks in the nation at Coastal Carolina, but it's Coastal Carolina, so he's not going to get recognized as that. But just look at Grayson McCall's stats. That's all you really need to do.
Coastal Carolina was ranked a couple years ago
because of Grayson McCall. Grayson McCall's that good. Number 6, I have Mississippi State's Will Rogers. Air raid offense, had a great junior year. I can't remember his junior year actually. His year before last, he was really good. Kind of took a step back this year, but there was very sudden change with the unfortunate passing of Mike Leach at Mississippi State. So it was a very rough situation for Will Rogers, but still a very talented quarterback, and I think anybody would be happy to have him. At number 7, I have K-State's Will Howard. It was kind of hard for me to put Will Howard this low on this list. I really like Will Howard. I think he's a good quarterback, and if you're a college team that's a semi-decent quarterback away from winning, I think you could easily get yourself top 10 ranking with Will Howard. Number 8, I have DJ Uiagalelei, I believe, out of Oregon State.
Second transfer.
Yeah, second transfer. Everybody knows top player coming out of high school. Struggled at Clemson. Went to Oregon State. Had a fairly solid year. I'm going to go out and make a prediction. He's going to Michigan State. He's following his coach from Oregon State. He's going to go to Michigan State. Number 9 and 10 is basically interchangeable. It's a mixture of these guys are in the portal, but they're not really all that good. It's interchangeable, but number 9 is Kyle McCord of Ohio State. He he was lucky to have that roster he did around him at Ohio State. I don't think Kyle McCord's that good. And Tyler Van Dyke out of the University of Miami. Miami was a competent quarterback away from winning more games than they did this year. Just Tyler Van Dyke was not it. Some other quarterbacks that are in the portal. We've got Brock Vandagriff of Georgia, Max Johnson of Texas A&M.
Jonathan.
You've got where's his name? But he was Max Brown of Florida. Gary Bohannon. He was at Georgia, not Georgia. God, he was at Baylor a couple of years ago, fairly well there. So that's who I believe is the top 10 quarterbacks in this, because it's like free agency, but you can actually go out and sign a quarterback. You know, the NILH has changed how we look at the transfer portal.
Okay.
So, Nick, I want your opinion on something.
Yeah.
You're a college team. Say that what you already have said. You can either go out and get this in the portal. You can go out and add a good quarterback, a decent running back, and a solid secondary, or you can add a solid defensive line and offensive line, or you can just focus on receivers. Which one are you doing?
So I can either have a good quarterback, a decent...
You can either get good quarterback, decent running back, and a solid secondary, like not like bad or good secondary, just an all-around good secondary, a 10 win secondary with the chance to build the rest of your team around you. Obviously, you're not limited in recruiting, but that's all you can go out and get in the portal. Get a defensive line and offensive line from the portal, good defensive line, good offensive line in the portal, or just focus on skill positions with receivers.
Well, I've seen some of these quarterbacks. You know, there's only 32 quarterback starting positions in the NFL, and not every
this is
quarterback.
College.
I know, but
okay.
I'm about to make a point.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. I gotta figure out his name.
Okay.
Whoever Louisville's quarterback, Plummer.
Yeah, that guy. He was.
Yeah, like him. If I was Louisville, I'd go out and get a new quarterback and be fine with everything else. I think it just really depends on
the other players you have around.
Because typically I would say skill position, people that are catching your ball, is what's most important. Because if you look at, like in the NFL, the Patriots, they don't have a very good skill position.
But our defense is so good. Real quick, before this, I saw something about the Patriots defense. The Patriots defense has allowed only 26 points the last 3 games.
Exactly, and they've lost all 3 games.
We lost 6-0.
Yeah, that they set a record. But we're talking about college football transfer portal. So now I would say Texas, for instance, they're going to lose Xavier Worthy, Jordan Whittington, and A.D. Mitchell.
Potentially. Some of those guys could stay for their senior year, except Whittington. Whittington's for sure gone. He's been there since 2019.
Right. And so you're going to lose. You may lose because right now Worthy and A.D. Mitchell are projected to go in the first round. I'm not too sure about Worthy. I think he might need to stay 1 more year just to try to play a full season, show that he can be healthy, because I've seen him constantly out of the game.
He did play like 6 games with a broken hand last year.
Okay, so
you know how hard that is to do a receiver?
Yeah. Because all the Patriots apparently, wide receivers are playing with broken hands. Had to take my shots. And so I would almost say Texas should go out and get skill position because they're also going to lose JT Sanders.
Potentially, but I'm not concerned about like we got Ryan Wingo coming in on campus. We got Freddie Dubois coming in on campus. We got Jonte Cook on campus currently. Dante Moore, Ryan Nabil. Like we got guys. But I understand what you're going with. It all depends on the talent you have around you and when you're going to lose that talent or not.
Now, like USC, who has the potential of losing Caleb Williams, I think they should go out and get a quarterback. One of the top 3 that you mentioned.
I could also see that, but at the same time, it's like they still got to give Malachi Nelson a chance, 5-star freshman.
So I mean, it really depends. I think a good quarterback, an okay running back, I would consider not an Ollie Gordon, not a Jonathan Brooks, but Savion Red.
Oh wait, what?
Is that about the like what is a good, like what level of running back are you saying if you get this amazing quarterback?
Jaden Blue.
Jaden Blue? Okay. And then like a good secondary that'll help you win like 10 games. Yeah, I mean, I would say I would say that is what's. There are a couple teams that are just a quarterback and a running back away from being good, but then Colorado is just an offensive line away from dominating, in my opinion.
For me, I've seen this with Texas this year. We've got plenty of skill position guys around us, but like we have the best D line in the country, and we have a great offensive line. And the first time in years we have a good one of both. Look how good we are in the college football playoff.
So who? What would you say?
I'd go. Depending on the team you have around, which ultimately is the deciding factor. I should have really thought that out before I asked the question. But to me, it comes down to how good is the team around you. And personally, I really think that if you have a good team, good enough skill position and quarterback and everything, you got to get a good defensive line and you got to get a good offensive line.
I would agree.
Now, with the transfer portal, real quick, as a Texas fan, if he officially enters Texas A&M defensive lineman Walter Nolan, if we could somehow, if we could truly somehow land Walter Nolan if he entered the portal, that would be awesome. Adding that type of a defensive lineman with the potential of losing Javonte Sweat for sure and Byron Murphy. I want them to throw the biggest NIL deal they can at Byron Murphy, get him to stay because we really could be thin at defensive line. Not as we wait for the other guys we got on roster to immediately slide in because we don't know when they're going to be ready because of how good they've Sweat and Murphy have been. But if they can get him to slide in, I believe there's a defensive lineman from Houston that was really good that entered the portal. I really want Texas to focus on the defensive line in the portal. If they want to maybe go out and get another receiver to add on just to kind of for some veteran presence as the young guys come onto campus and develop, that's fine. But it's not really a point of emphasis, in my opinion, for the Longhorns immediately.
So outside of the quarterbacks, who is your like number one in the transfer portal?
Number one in the transfer portal. See, that's a good one. That's truly a That's a good one because you obviously want to think about the man. It's probably gonna be one of the
Like,
receivers. It's probably gonna be one of the receivers. Um, because with the receivers, you got Julian Fleming from Ohio State. Um, you got Juice Wells out of South Carolina. I mean, there's so many good. There's just all around so many good. I'd go Julian Fleming. He was a top player in his recruiting class at receiver, 5-star. Um, I really think Julian Fleming is the all around best player. As a recruit, he was the number one receiver.
well, so you would say him, like, not just for Texas.
Yeah, no, all around. Because getting a good receiver can transform your team so much. We saw that with FSU this year, going out and getting Keon Coleman from Michigan State. We saw it with Texas getting A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy in 2 years. I mean, you see this all the time when with teams adding good receivers. It can really it makes your offense much more dynamic.
Yeah. Um. So you got wide receiver as your number one outside quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So what? So far in the transfer portal, what do you feel like the weakest position group is that's in the transfer portal?
Punter and kicker,
Outside of,
probably.
I was about to say outside of that.
Long snapper.
Okay, non-special teamer.
Okay, non-special teamer. I don't know. It's hard to say what's the weakest right now because it all kind of it's just opened up and it's all the transfer portal is always decent. There's never really not good enough depth in the portal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'd go as far as saying that there's not really a weak spot to me in the portal.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Do you got anything else on the portal?
I don't.
It's getting a little late. You've got a baby, and I've got school in the morning. So, you've also got a dog too.
Yeah.
So I think we've reached a good point to wrap up on.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for listening. If you listened on Spotify, be sure to like the podcast, follow, and you believe you can turn on notifications on Spotify. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. Check out the website, which will be linked in the description, and the Twitter, which will also be linked in the description. So yeah, thank you guys for watching or listening, and we will see you this Wednesday.